Hi, this is Linda with our Talking in American English. This is lesson 7. This is the last time I'm going to do one that's based on verb form groups. This is the 5th group, and I will have a conversation and some sentences, but because this 5th group is so easy, I want to include some vocabulary, some idioms, and some pronunciation. So let me start with this. Okay, we've got these 4 words: tell, say, speak, and talk. And when I use tell, I'm directing it towards someone, an audience of some kind, usually. So I've got, I tell the truth. I'm telling you this. Tell me your name. I'm asking you to give me information, and I want it directed toward me. So tell is sharing information, and it's usually directed toward someone or some sort of audience. Say is pronouncing words. It's not quite as directed. He says what he believes. Who he's talking to is not even suggested. He probably is telling someone, but the verb doesn't tell me that. Then speak is also pronouncing words to communicate something. When I say they speak Portuguese, I'm telling you how they speak, not what information they're giving. I'm not telling you the information, I'm telling you how they speak in Portuguese, or they speak Portuguese. He speaks aloud to the crowd. He is speaking to the crowd, but the emphasis is more on how he's speaking and where he's speaking. He's speaking to the crowd. He's giving words, sharing words, pronouncing words to a crowd. And speak is a little bit different. Talk is usually a conversation. He talks on the phone for hours. He's carrying on a conversation over the phone. They talked loudly in the movie theater. I'm telling how they talked, but they were talking to someone. Now, if someone is just sitting in the theater all by themselves, I might say they speak loudly. They're making words, but they're not directing it toward anyone, and there's no conversation back and forth. So I can sometimes switch these, but I could say I tell the truth, or I say the truth. I wouldn't say me your name. I might say your name, but I wouldn't say me your name. Tell is the one that has the words directed toward someone. Say is just putting the words out there without necessarily directing it toward anyone. And speak is also saying the words, so we could say he speaks what he believes. No, we probably wouldn't say he speaks what he believes. They don't say Portuguese. They're not saying Portuguese. No, they're not saying Portuguese. They're just speaking in Portuguese. It's how they speak. So it's not interchangeable. And talk, I might say he speaks on the phone, because that's putting the words out there. Or I could say he talks on the phone, but I wouldn't say he says on the phone or he tells on the phone. If I put tells on the phone, I have to say what it is he's telling. He tells directions on the phone, because says is just putting the words out there. If I'm giving specific information directed to someone, tell. Speak is just saying the words. Say is giving information, but it's not directed. And then talk is a conversation. It's really hard to explain the difference, and sometimes they can be interchanged, but not always. Okay. Now, another thing I want to talk about, I found this is very important. It's actually like the 4th group that we've already had, but I wanted you to see it because it's very similar to the verb set, which is in the 5th group. So we're going to compare those. The verb say in the last form is pronounced said, not said, and it sounds very much like set. We've got in the past tense sat, said, and then there will be set. they're very close, so we're going to look at these sort of together. Sit, sat, sat, say. Now, I have to mention too, if we do the forms here, we're going to find that we change the pronunciation. We use this word so much, we went to an easier pronunciation. It's just a tiny bit easier, but a little bit. Say, says, saying, said, said. Another thing about these three words, there are only a few of these, but they're halfway between 4 and 5. Come, came. If it were in the fourth group, it would be came. If it were in the fifth group, it would be come, come, come. So it's half one and half the other. Come, came, come. We'll see that in some sentences later. Run, ran, run. But it's a combination. Run, ran, run. Same thing with become. It's like come. Become, became, become. Goes back to the first one. I'm going to leave that one up here so you can look at it as we go. Now we're going to look at the fifth form verbs. This is the chart. Each one of these would go in this chart of how you use them. So burst would go in this one. Burst would go in that one. Bursting would go in that one. And then the fourth one, past tense, burst, would go in the blue section. And burst, the fifth form, would go in the brown section. However, they're the same. First form, we add the S and ing, but everything else is the same. That's why it's the fifth group. It's the same. So I'm going to do this quickly. Burst, burst, burst. Cut, cut, cut. Cost, cost, cost. Hit, hit, hit. Quit, quit, quit. Read. Now the pronunciation changes, but not the spelling. Red, red. The color red doesn't have an A in it, but it's pronounced like the color red. Read, red, red. Shut, shut, shut. Spread, spread, spread. Upset, upset, upset. Put, put, put. It's very important that you say put. Set, set, set. Hurt, hurt, hurt. Now you do not pronounce the U. Hurt. Never pronounce the U. It's not hurt. It's hurt. Hurt, hurt, hurt. Okay, those are the Form 5 verbs. Okay. Now I'm going to give you some sentences for these, and I will talk about pronunciation a little bit and some idioms. So let's start with I say, which is from this list, which is actually the fourth group. I say prayers. I'm not telling you what prayers I say. I just say prayers. Prayers. Okay. She says what she hears. I'm not telling you the words, it's just the topic. We are saying that it is enough. I don't know what it is, so it's a topic. They said that they liked the new restaurant. They have said, it's not said, the pledge to the flag at school every morning. And some of my students wanted to know what pledge is. It's when you make a promise. I pledge, I promise to show loyalty to my country. That's when we pledge allegiance to the flag. They have said the pledge, the promise to the flag at school every morning. I come home late often. He comes to work early. She is coming to visit. The only time it changes from away from come is here. They came to the party earlier. We have come to help you. And the only time run changes is just in the simple past. They run in races. She runs in the park. You are running very fast. He ran around the block. We have run together along the trail. Become is another one of this group, and it's from the word come, so it's the same. We become tired in the evenings. He becomes grumpy. That means nothing will please him. He doesn't like this, he doesn't like that. Because he's hungry, everything is upsetting him. He becomes grumpy if he is hungry. We are becoming better at sports. They become restless. That means they can't calm down. They constantly want to move. They're restless. You have become friends with your neighbor. And then the verb sit, and then we're going to get into set and compare them. I sit in a soft chair. That's where I sit, in a soft chair. He sits on the beach. Where? They are sitting down. That's sort of how and where. We sat on the bench. That's where we sat. We have sat together often at lunch. When, how, where are all describing sat, but I'm not sitting something. With set, you have to have a direct object. I set the clock. If it's digital, we change the numbers. If it's this kind of clock, we change the hands. She sets the plate on the table. The plate is here. She sets it on the table. Or this is the direct object. He is setting his book down. Setting the book. Book is the direct object. He set the cup on the saucer. And this is the past tense earlier. He set the cup. You have set a new record. You ran faster than anyone has ever run before. You set a new record. But there's always a direct object for set. There's not a direct object for sat. So it's sit, sits, sitting, sat, sat, set, sets, setting, set, set. Okay. Now we'll get into some of the other verbs that are in the chart. Bubbles burst easily. That's popping. A watermelon bursts when dropped. He is bursting with happiness. It's like it's bubbling out of him. He's so happy. Maybe he just saw his newborn son for the first time. You burst your balloon. This is earlier. It's gone. You burst it. They have burst into the room. It's like they exploded into the room all at once. They do it very suddenly, like an explosion. Now, cut is like with a knife or with scissors or dividing something. You can just cut it. Knives cut bread. He cuts paper. She is cutting the ribbon. He cut cost. Now, the reason there's no S on that is because it's past. He cut costs last year. They have cut the crime rate in that city. The crime rate was high, now it's low. They cut it. Talking about the word cut, I'm going to put in some idioms that use cut. Cut it out. Cut that out. That means stop doing something. Now you can say it in a friendly way. Oh, cut that out. You're just joking. Cut that out. Or cut it out. You can say it in a friendly way or an angry way. Cut the butter. When I was a child, we used this a lot. If you're going along and there's a corner and don't go all the way to the corner and then turn, you cut the butter. And then cut the mustard is if you have a job to do and you just don't have the ability to do it, then you don't cut the mustard. To cut the mustard means you have the talent or skills to accomplish something. And I have mentioned that before, but I wanted to put it with the cut words. And then someone is a cut up. Sometimes it's with a dash in between. Cut up is a person who jokes and teases a lot. Cost. I'm going to do these quickly because they don't change. New shoes cost a lot. The new hat costs $20. This trip is costing too much. The ticket, now I'm talking in the past, the ticket last night cost, so there's no S like here, cost $25. It has cost a lot to repair this. Hit. I hit the ball often. He hits home runs sometimes. Be sure you say sometimes. They are hitting their goals. A goal is a thing you want to do. If you do it, you hit your goal. We hit a pothole in the road earlier. A pothole is when you're driving along and you come to a little hole. It's shaped like a pot or a bowl, and your car goes gloom, like that. That's hitting a pothole. I have hit a new level of success. I was here successful, but now I'm here successful. Read changes to read, but it's spelled the same. I read novels. She reads magazines. They are reading the newspapers. We read about the accident. You have read all those books. Shut, which really means close. Sometimes it's a stronger word than close. I shut the doors and he shuts the windows at night. We are shutting down the business. We're putting a stop to it. They shut out the noise from the street. We have shut down the website. They spread, making it go farther and farther out. They spread rumors. He spreads butter on his toast. They are spreading lies. He spread the dirt in the garden. That's dirt. It's not dirt. Dirt in the garden. We have spread the news. Now everyone knows. And here's that word put. We want to pronounce it carefully. We put our shoes by the door. He puts his hat on that shelf. We are putting flowers in the vase. They put new tires on their car. She has put the plates on the table. And then hurt. My feet hurt when I stand. It hurts to get injections, a shot in the arm. He is hurting my pride. I hurt my ankle when I fell. We have hurt our friendship by arguing so much. And in a conversation now coming up, I want you to know the difference between quit and quite and quiet. I've mentioned this somewhere before. Quit means stop. Quite means very, like I'm quite tired. He is quite intelligent. It means very. Quiet. Quiet means without noise. Please be quiet. Be quiet. He is quiet. No noise. Okay. This is a conversation, our last conversation, and it's using upset and quit. Helen says, this job is upsetting me so much, I think I will quit my job. Paul says, what upsets you so much? Helen, if the supervisor quits making my workload so heavy, I might stay. I have quit asking him to be more thoughtful. Paul says, the long hours upset a lot of people these days. I think others are quitting soon. Helen says, I'm sorry, I have upset you now. Paul says, I quit paying attention to what was happening. I am sorry. The supervisor's uncaring attitude upset me, not you. Helen, if we all meet with him together. Maybe we can explain how we feel. Paul, I will set up a meeting tomorrow and let's try to solve this. We don't want people to be upset and quit. Helen, okay, let's do that. See you tomorrow. And that is the end of our little verb group lessons, and we'll do something else next time. See you later.